Hi everyone, hope you all doing well. Welcome back to our channel. In this video, I'm going to showcase how you can set up and configure ADFS servers for Microsoft Defender for Identity. Now, in order to set up ADFS server, there are a couple of prerequisites that should be in place and then only you can go ahead and set up. Okay. So I would recommend reading this article for sure because it is something that's going to give you a lot more insights. Okay. Now, the very first thing that I would like to talk about is MDI sensor can only be installed in primary and secondary ADFS servers provided you are using the default SQL database. But if you have a dedicated SQL database, then fundamentally every node is acting as a primary server. Okay, so make sure you install MDI sensor only on ADFS servers. There is no need to install on web application proxy servers, or also known as ADFS proxy servers. Now, the next first thing that you need is a service account or a DSA, practically speaking. Okay. Now, if I scroll down this, you see this particular section. This is moreover related to the same information that we have already covered, that what is the Windows version required, permissions, network, and all that. But this line that you see over here, it specifically highlights that a sensor installed on ADFS, ADCS, and Microsoft Entra Connect server can't use the local service account to connect to the domain. Instead, you need to configure a directory service account. Okay, which basically means that there is an account that should exist in your AD, fundamentally speaking, and that should have all the required permission for different kind of configuration. Okay, now fundamentally speaking, if I talk about this particular section of DSA, you can give an account that has the read permission for your AD. However, if I show you this particular documentation, it kinds of asks you to have an account that has the permission to read even the deleted object container, because it will give you more insights. And if you can see, it also shows you the script with which you can get it created. Okay, so in my environment, I have already created an account using this particular script itself, which means it has all the permissions required as per the documentation. Okay, so if I'll show you my AD, and if I'll go to conceptswork.com, you can see I have this account available over here. And now all I have to do is add this account as a directory service account on the portal itself. Okay, that's the first step. So step number one for setting up ADFS for MDI is to log on to your domain controller. Use this script to get an account created, which is MDI SVC01. You can choose any name, fundamentally speaking, but I'm using the default configuration. And this script will grant all the required permissions. Then you have to come to this particular section of the console itself, and here you have to type the name of the account. So I'll go back here and I'll just copy this particular value from here, which is MDI SVC01. I'll click on cancel, go back to my portal, and I'll paste it here. No, it is not a group managed service account. Fundamentally speaking, you can use group managed service account as well. Okay, and then here I have to type my password. Okay, and I'll click on save. Now this section also takes around a couple of minutes. At times it can be real quick, likewise you have seen it right now, but it does verify all these credentials and everything. So yeah, let me just sign in again. It's asking me to sign in, and let me just refresh the portal as well. It's a major change that I'm doing, but that's not the expected behavior. It doesn't mean that whenever you add, you get this prompt. That's not the case. It's just that randomly I got that prompt. Okay, so I have added my directory service account. Now, if I'll scroll down this particular article, you will also see that this particular account, which is the one which we have created, it also needs the access to ADFS database. Okay, and if I'll scroll down this particular section, you can see to grant the sensor access to ADFS database, you have to run this particular script through PowerShell on your ADFS server. Okay, So in my case, I only have one single ADFS server, which is this one. And on this particular server, what I have done is I have replaced domain 1 with concepts work. That's the only change that I have done. So if I'll show you this particular script from the article, it says create login domain 1 and the service account name, and then you see over here create login concepts work and this particular service account name. Now since I have already granted the access, so once I'll initiate this script, it is giving me the execute reader permission. The service principal concepts work MDI SVC01 already exists, which means it has all the required permission. Okay. Now, once you're done with all these three steps, then go ahead and download the setup file, which is required. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and download the setup file here on this particular machine, or I can do something is I can just quickly copy it from here, from my DC itself, and then I'll come back to my ADFS server and I'll just paste that setup here. Now, one more aspect that I would like to talk about, that if you have multiple different categories of servers available in your environment, I would recommend you use at least 2-3 different activation keys. Okay. So I'll go to sensor and I'll click on this option of add sensor, and I click on this option of continue with classic sensor. It will generate a new key for me, and I'll just copy this value from here. And now I'll come back to my machine. I'll double click on this one and then I will initiate this setup. Now, since this is an ADFS server, what you will see that it will automatically select the option of ADFS servers. When I was showing you the installation on my domain controller, this was the option which was automatically selected. However, since it is ADFS, the third option was automatically selected. That's it. Now I'm going to click on install, and it will take a couple of minutes, and then this particular sensor will be installed on my ADFS server as well. But make sure that before you continue or before you go ahead and initiate this particular setup, you need to make sure that you have completely configured these 3 prerequisites which were there in the article itself, which says what is the purpose of the account, which permissions are required, and lastly adding that on security.microsoft.com console. Okay, so step number 1 is to make sure the DSA is created with all the permissions. Okay, this is the article that you have to follow in terms of making sure you have a directory service account with these permissions. Then the account should be added here, and lastly on your ADFS server you have to run this particular script to make sure you grant the access. Okay, now let's go back to my ADFS server and see whether the installation is completed or not, and you can see it is showing me complete. I'll click on finish, and I'll again come back to my portal to see whether the machine is getting listed or not. Okay, so I'll go back to security.microsoft.com and I'll click on sensors. Okay, so the machine is not yet listed. I'll just refresh the portal and let's just see what is the state that we are getting as of now for that particular machine. It takes time. I mean, at times, it can take up to 10-15 minutes to change these states. So we'll wait and I'll resume once it is showing running and up to date. Okay, perfect. So as you can see on my machine, it is showing me both the services as running, and this is my ADFS server. Let me just open that hostname section again. Perfect, you can see, and I'll again go back to my browser just to see if it is changed or not. Okay, perfect, you can see right now it's showing me up and running. This is my ADFS sensor on conceptswork.com. So this was all about knowing how you can set up and configure MDI for ADFS servers In the next video, we are going to talk about how to investigate alerts and incident on security.microsoft.com. So if you think that this channel is helping you to learn anything new, please feel free to subscribe and share this video with your technical community. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.